Welcome to episode 5 of
Celebrity Side Hustle. Almost forgot the name then. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Celebrity Side Hustles.
So I didn't get it right. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome. So today we've got a wonderful, wonderful lady who we used to work with called
Sian Reese Williams. And I'm so, do you know what? I feel really, these interviews are actually quite nerve-wracking. Do you find doing this
sometimes.
quite nerve-wracking
Yeah,
sometimes?
I do, yeah.
Particularly when you're talking to people that you don't know very well and you want to create a good impression. I'm not getting that today with Sian because she was such a good friend of mine. I just can't wait to get her on that screen down the line and have a little chat with her.
And talk about her side hustle. Do we tell them what that is now? Do we tell you what that is now? Yeah, it's ceramics.
So Sian...
Which doesn't sound that exciting, but it really, really is. Like, I covet her mugs. Like, I sit sometimes just perving on her mugs.
Perving on her mugs?
Not like that.
Perving on her jugs.
Perving on Sian's jugs.
No,
Sian's got great jugs.
This is
Let's just get her on now. That's a long enough intro. Whatever you're going to say, we don't need it. Anyway, Sian Reese Williams, everyone.
No, you were good. She shouted.
No
way.
Oh my God, I love her so much. Doesn't quite marry up in my opinion, but there we go.
We're going to start at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And we all obviously know you amongst many other things that we'll get to, but Emmerdale was kind of your first big break, would you say?
Oh, definitely. Before that, I think I'd been out of drama school about 4 years. First 2 years I did no work at all. I just lived with my mum and dad and worked at the local petrol station for the first 2 years out of drama school, and probably could have very easily just given up, I think.
Well, I was going to say, were you at this? 2 years is a long time, but and I know actors that have waited many more years before getting either their big break or their big break or their first job. Were you at a stage where you were like, this isn't going to work now, this isn't going to happen?
No, do you know what? Funnily enough, I'd say that I've been in those stages way more in recent years.
Really?
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I think when you're 23, 24, you think that everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you were saying you were living with your mum and dad, so you've financially, you're quite stable. You've not got all that to think about and stress about and worry about.
Yeah, and so back then, I think I still had pretty blind faith, or blindish faith, that it was going to be okay. And then so I did a few years of mainly theatre. I think I'd maybe done one telly job before, and it was a really, really small one, like a couple of days, if that, on something. And then it came really out of left field. I was doing a play in Stoke, and I got these auditions through, and I think I got the job I did the audition on the Thursday, got the job on the Friday, and started on the Monday.
No way!
Yeah, it was really fast.
Wow.
Why was it so fast? Was there a story there? Had they already cast someone? Was something written last minute?
I think they couldn't find anybody.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. I don't think they'd cast somebody because the audition process was really extensive. I think I had like 4-5 meetings.
What, over that small period of time?
Yeah, it was really quick. What? And I was doing this play, and I was really lucky that they let me even go, to be honest, because, Stoke to Leeds isn't an easy...
No.
So, it's not 5 minutes down the road. And I remember there was a group audition where they made us hot seat the character in front of each other, which was...
Wow. That's horrible.
Horrifying.
Wow.
And I also remember my agent had said to me, go in Northern. And I was like, oh, okay. And I think I just found that the idea of pretending to be Northern just as like myself so embarrassing that I couldn't speak. So, Jenny spoke like that.
Yeah,
quite light and quite... The reasons for that is because I was like really quite scared to speak.
Oh, wow.
So the reason that she spoke that way was because I didn't want to speak.
and the person that was directing and casting that day thought that was your character choice and was like, I love it.
Or did you go in with that voice? Did you actually speak like that? Did you go in Northern?
I think I probably said hi.
And that was
too scared. Yeah. And then that basically became the character because that was me being too frightened to speak.
I remember you starting. I think I probably remember the day you started, and
I
Jenny with
remember
all her like
you.
little floral skirts and little floral tops.
Do you remember they had blue clip-on hair extensions in my hair?
Oh gosh,
Because they were like, oh, so she's a mobile hairdresser, so we're going to give you blue streaks and make your fringe look like your mum cut it. Doesn't quite marry up, in my opinion, but there we go. Yes, Matthew, you were the first person I had a proper conversation with, I think.
Was I? And
You
can
were
you remember what it
certainly the
was?
No, I just remember you being really welcoming and kind.
Well, I'm
and then
glad
it
I
was
was that
downhill
day.
from there. It's just downhill from there.
That is a lie.
A
We
few
were
people
like
have said that
besties
about
all
you.
the way through that show while you were
We
still
were
in it.
known as the Terrible Twins.
I think we
Matthew, I do actually have a question for you that I just need you to settle an argument for me.
Yeah.
So Sammy and I have been discussing, and we talk about this quite a lot because we decided.
This is Sammy Winwood you're talking
Yeah,
about, who
Sammy
played
Winwood.
KT in Emmerdale, yeah.
So we decided that this thing is the funniest thing that anybody has ever done in their entire life, and like in the history of the world. Do you remember shoving either me or Sammy in a suitcase and shouting, "Go on holiday, go on holiday, go on holiday"?
I can't quite
Do
vividly.
you remember who it was you shoved in the suitcase? Because I think it was her and she thinks it was me.
It was Sammy Winwood. You are right. You are right. It was Sammy that I put in a suitcase and then I wheeled around. It was in the old studio, wasn't it?
It was in her dressing room.
And then
you were on your way to set and you saw us sitting in there talking. And the next thing we knew, you were shoving a human being into what was actually probably a hand luggage suitcase.
By the way, anyone that's listening, I didn't zip it up. I didn't zip her inside
It
it.
was
I think
the
I just give her a
can't
ride around the corridors.
You're not just saying it was Sammy because I wanted
No,
to be Sammy.
it was Sammy, and I can vividly remember it. And you were running
She said
around.
she can
I think you
remember-
might have videoed it at some point.
The
on the
reason
phone.
she thinks that she can remember it was me is because she just loves it when I'm the butt of the joke.
Yeah,
It's her favourite thing. So for once, she's the butt of the joke, and I couldn't be happier. Thank you so much.
There
I
we
can't
go.
wait
We've
to tell her.
settled that argument. So after that incident, when I wheeled Sammy Winwood round the corridors, tell us about your time on Emmerdale. How long were you there for?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Did you start before me or did I
just
start before you?
About 6 months before you.
So you were always there.
I was always there.
You were
for
always
yeah.
there. Okay.
Like an older sibling.
I remember you saying about me once, you were abusing me in some way in the green room. And there was a new person, and I can't remember who this new person was, but they were kind of looking at me a little bit horrified, as in, like, are you okay? Kind of thing. And you caught them
answer is
looking at
usually
me. And you went, oh, she's fine. She loves it as long as people are talking about her.
Yeah, well,
am I
this day,
wrong?
that is so right.
Am I wrong?
No, you're
Tell me
not.
I'm wrong.
As
No,
long
you're
as
not.
people can say anything about you as long as they're talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no news is good news, or the other way around, whatever it is. But yeah, I went in on a 3-month contract with the possible option to extend for like 6 months, I think it was. And I thought I would do 3 months. I didn't think I would want to do more.
And why was that? Why was that? Was it because
I was just a bit? To be honest, I think I was probably a bit snobbish about it.
About it being a soap?
Yeah, because I'd just done plays and I thought that I was just going to go off and
do more
win
highbrow
Olivier Awards.
Yeah.
Still waiting for that.
It'll come.
But I think that's probably it. And I remember really clearly 15 minutes after getting to set, and my first scene was with Dominic Brunt, thinking, oh, this is really hard. And the people who can do this are amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that really clearly and thinking, oh, I want to get really good at this.
Yeah.
Because this is tough. Like, it's such a skill to be able to, anybody who can look remotely good in a soap, because everything is against you, mainly time.
Yeah.
Budget.
Is amazing at their budget. They're amazing at their jobs, and many of the best actors I've ever worked with are on that show.
And you feel that stood you in good stead for what you went on to do and all the
yeah,
dramas
because
that
I
you've been
learned.
doing?
I didn't know any different because I'd only done one TV job before that, so I didn't know any different about the pacing and I knew it was different, but I'd never experienced the difference. And so it was an absolute training ground for me.
Yeah.
And I think also and it really teaches you how to trust your own instinct on things as well,
100%.
because nobody's got time to discuss it with you. They don't really. And it's nobody's fault. It's just the output
nature
is so huge.
I remember,
they don't.
yeah, I remember starting. I'd only done theatre up until and musical theatre. Really, nothing as highbrow as your Shakespeare plays.
It certainly wasn't highbrow, particularly at that stage.
But I remember going in for my first scene, and the director didn't tell me how to do it, which I was used to over 5 years in theatre.
Yeah,
the director tells you exactly how to do it.
Talk about it for 3 days before you even stand up. Yeah.
I wasn't told how to do it. I wasn't told where to go, what to do, where to look. It was like, and action, just do it, just come up with it yourself. And that was really shocking to me. And it was a very, very quick learning curve that actually you're out on your own here. Like, there's no time for a director to sit down and tell you what you're doing and discuss the character and discuss what the scene is. It's just like, action, do it.
Absolutely. And actually, you know what? It's not that different when you're doing dramas, because there are times when you're running out of time and they need to get a certain amount in before the light changes and blah, blah, blah. So it happens there too, where you just go, oh shit, okay, so this is back on me now. And so in terms of that, it's the best possible, and it's incredible training, and like the work ethic to be able to go and learn 12 pages of dialogue overnight, because you haven't got time before that, because you're looking at what's gone before. And I'm so grateful for my time there. But I didn't think I would end up staying 5 years. I remember about year 2, I remember saying to myself, right, you're still really enjoying it, but you are not staying longer than 5 years. I'd made that decision.
Oh, really? That's interesting. And why did you...
Well, I was still only like 30 and I didn't have any kids.
Were you 30 when you left, or 30 when you made that decision?
When I left, I think. And that's still, you know, I think my ambitions and my main reason for getting into this, one of the main reasons is variety, and I've always thrived on variety. I get bored quite easily of just anything, really.
So you don't think you would have stayed? Obviously, Jenny got killed off. You don't think you would have stayed if they hadn't have made the decision to kill you off? You would have gone
because I'd asked them to. I'd asked to leave.
Okay.
And I gave them. I wanted to give them a long notice period so that they could get me a juicy storyline. At the same time, there was a serial killer on the loose, right? So it was kind of like, and I remember going in and saying, I think I'd like this to be my final contract. And they said, okay, well, if you do decide to leave now, we are going to kill you. Can you imagine?
So they told you that there and then?
Imagine somebody saying that to you in a normal job? That's great. But if you do decide to leave today, we are going to have to kill you. And I didn't change my mind, and they did give me the chance to. I could have turned around that day and gone, actually, I might wait it out for a bit, but I didn't. And I think it's because I was ready. I was ready to do other things. And I do sometimes think, what would it be like to now get the opportunity to have a job like that in my 40s? And it would probably be a very different experience, and it would probably be different decisions being made. But it was the right one for me.
Yeah.
And it was, I think there have been times, obviously, where you go, oh my God, I haven't worked for X amount. Like this year has been just so quiet, and I think it's been quiet for everybody. But it's been a really,
it feels like it's been quiet for everyone. Every actor that I speak to. It's been really, really hard.
And so there are always moments where you go, oh God, imagine if I was still able to do that, and how lucky I was, and we all were. But the fact that I can't then go, maybe I'll just call them and see if they'll have me back. When it's not necessarily in that moment what I really want, it's more about being concerned about what there isn't happening. I think for me personally, being free of that has been
dead.
Totally the right thing for me. Otherwise,
it'd always be there in the back of your mind as some sort of safety net that you might be able to reach for. And also, it doesn't necessarily mean that
they would ever want you back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But you might just be thinking of it a lot, because I know that's what happened to me when I left the first time.
I remember you were, every time I saw you, you were thinking about it, talking about it, mulling it over, like letting it really get into your bones. And not to say that you didn't make the right decision at all, because look, you are wonderful, and
you have many more years working with me,
which is something I wouldn't trade for anything. You know, even an Olivier.
I have to say, can I tell my favourite story about you two? Actually,
yeah, go for it.
What is it?
As long as you're talking about us, go on.
So just after Rock started, they put you together quite quickly, didn't they?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were both working in the sewing factory, Rock?
I do, because Matthew always says I was an extra. And he told so many people.
I'm sorry
that
to any extras out there or supporting artists.
No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being an extra or a supportive artist at all.
Supportive artist?
But I had, you're definite, well, not you. And I had just, spent a year being the young lead at the Nash.
Oh,
and,
I hate you.
Matthew told everyone, directors, and he told this story for so long that people that have never met him come up to me and say, is the story true, how you weren't even an actor and you started doing a little bit of extra work? And that's not the story.
It might be on Wikipedia now. I've got it.
Anyway,
right.
go on. So I'd started, got put with him.
Let's level the ego of the young lead at the Nash, shall we?
Yeah, go on. Level it.
I remember we were doing a scene. It was us three, and you were in the first part of the scene, and I was in the other room for the second part of the scene. And you two were snogging. Do you remember this?
No.
This is one of the greatest things.
It feels icky,
weird.
Doesn't it,
Yeah, it's weird.
You had a little bit beforehand, and you were very funny, and you were very good, as you always were, and you were brilliant together. And you started doing the scene, and then the director, who shall remain nameless, went, sorry, can we just cut for a second, please? That was awful. And you, Matthew, went, do you mean the scene or the acting? And there was this pause, and he goes, the acting.
I remember it. It was Henry Foster, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
Was it not?
I feel like
that was Henry.
I think Henry said something awful about us as well.
I think Henry said that about me once. Yeah.
It wasn't Henry. I don't know whether I should say. Should I say?
No, don't.
Please do.
Don't.
I'll text you later.
Yeah, text me.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Wow. Were they talking about Matthew?
We got better.
But also, I have to say, I was watching you in that scene thinking, that's not true. They were very funny, and you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is he still working, this director?
I wouldn't know.
Well,
I don't.
Well, he's definitely not doing big dramas then, is he, Sean? Otherwise you would know. Thank you very much. So let's talk about your big dramas now. Let's move on.
If I haven't come across him, then no.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
So after Emmerdale, how long was it before you felt like you got your kind of next big break? Because it's a really scary thing, I think, to come out of soap, because it's just hard. People kind of put you in a box, and people can't see beyond that character that you've played for so long. And so what was your experience like coming out of a soap and trying to kind of re-establish yourself?
I think that my experience beforehand, sort of jobbing, really helped me with that, because I knew what it was like out there. I think some people might, it might be their first job, and it's a bit of a shock when you come out, and it's still a shock. Going from any employment into unemployment is a shock. But I was kind of fully expecting it, and I had kind of thought, I had sort of like in my head, I was like, if I don't work for the first 18 months at all, stage or screen, that's okay. Like, it's okay. But that's not quite how it worked out. But I did a lot of theatre in the first few years out of Emmerdale, and loved it. And that's kind of, it was something that I had really missed, and I have to say, actually, I forget how good you are. And I just remember when I went to see you, just because you're really, really good. Oh, thanks.
Like extraordinary. And when I went to see you in Lungs at the Royal Exchange,
yes, I saw that.
You were absolutely incredible. Like, you have something that I don't think many actresses have, and you are captivating. And I saw you do, what else did I see you do? Was it some sort of play reading at the Octagon or something? And you were just bizarrely good.
I don't think I've ever done anything at the Octagon. Maybe it was Sammy. Was it Sammy?
I remember bringing Buster to see
it was you.
at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yes,
And you were doing you were doing lungs there, were you? But you were also doing a kids show.
Yeah, we were doing 3 plays at the same time.
Yeah.
And the kid, you brought him to the kids show.
Yeah, it was only about 5 or 6.
Yeah,
I remember it was a long time ago now. Yeah, so it's nearly 10 years ago.
He will have been, because that will have been about 10 years ago. So that makes sense.
So you did a lot of theatre, and then what happened?
And then I'm just trying to think. I think I did bits and pieces of telly. It started to kind of like come in.
But just like little cameo guest appearances.
Yeah, one episode of things here and there, like bits. And then, so in Wales, because there was sort of like mid 2010s, there was like a bit of a resurgence of like Welsh language crime dramas, and they were becoming really sought after, like internationally. They were selling really well because they're kind of dark and there's subtitles, and everybody, particularly at that time, loved that. And I got a part in the 3rd series of a show called Hinterland, which was kind of the very first one that kind of like captured the imagination of people in other countries. And I remember it's actually really interesting. So lots of people in Wales didn't know that I speak Welsh because they thought I was Northern.
Because they'd watch you on Emmerdale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when I got Hinterland, I was talking to Ed Talvan, who was at the time, he was the producer on that. And he said, I didn't know that you were Welsh speaking. In fact, I didn't even know that you were Welsh. The reason that I do know now is that my wife is an Emmerdale fan. And he said, and we had been watching it, and she had said, you know that she's Welsh, and she speaks Welsh. She was like, no, she's clearly from Yorkshire. And she was like, no. And so it's because of his wife watching Emmerdale that I got the job in Hinterland. Way. Yeah. So it could have gone completely differently. Like I could have completely continued to fly under the radar and nobody would have known that I was a Welsh speaker. But so I got that job, and then from there, I think that's right. Yeah, from there, I sort of steadily did bits of work in Wales, bits of work on English shows, and I've been quite lucky in that I've sort of done both of those things, and really lucky that I speak Welsh, because it means that I've been able to play leads in things that have then gone on to A, be seen in loads of different countries, and B, upped my profile a bit to the point where I can also work elsewhere as well, which ultimately, there's more work being produced elsewhere.
So which was the first?
It's necessary.
Which was the first drama that you did where you did it in both languages, didn't you? So you filmed you'd film a scene in English.
They kind of basically everything that is made in Wales is made twice in English and in Welsh, because it means that they get more money because 2 producers can come together and sell it elsewhere and stuff. So it's something that I do a lot. Yeah. And it's hard, but it's also really like I like a challenge and like a long day. I remember on Hidden we would, there'd be days where I'd have 2 4.5-page interrogation scenes that were no comment interviews, and it was just me speaking.
Wow.
Twice. Wow. So you'd go home at the end of that day and you'd be like brain fried, but also you'd be like, I can do anything.
Well, we're going to come on to the singing as well, because that's the last thing I saw you in was a musical. But really? I remember you saying to me when you did Hidden, and I spoke to you, and you said to me, please listen to the Welsh version with subtitles on, because it's so much more beautiful to listen to.
I think that Hidden particularly is actually better in the Welsh, but sometimes that's not necessarily true. But I think that the Welsh version of that specific show is the strongest.
And where can everyone watch Hidden? Is it on BBC? BBC iPlayer?
I think it's probably still on iPlayer, yeah.
And there's 2 seasons of Hidden, is that right? 2 seasons of Hidden.
3.
3?
Wow. Yeah. And I think it's sold to like 120 countries or something like that. It's pretty cool.
It is amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah.
And before we go on to your musical theatre and your amazing singing, you've just been cast
it
again as the lead in another crime drama.
Yes, I am just about to start filming tomorrow, actually.
Wow, that's amazing.
So this is called Still Waters. It's the second season of a show called The Light in the Hall that was on Channel 4 like 2 years ago. And I played quite a small role in that. I'm not really sure how much I can say. Yeah, I think I can say enough about it. So I played quite a small role in that. She was a butcher. And yes, you heard me right. She was a butcher. and I sort of like I think I was in like 5-6 scenes or something. And then about 6 months ago, my agent rings me. I'm driving home from my pottery studio thinking, oh my God, there's no work. I'm skint. What am I going to do? Is this it now? Because I'm in my 40s and women aren't allowed to be on TV for 15 years once they hit 40. Like, that's just how it is. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then she rings me and she says, I just had the most crazy phone call from the producers of The Light in the Hall. They're doing a second series. I was like, oh, great. Maybe I'll be in 6 scenes of that again. Fab. And she said, basically, the lead from series 1 is not available to do the second series, so they now want to make the butcher the lead.
Whoa!
Amazing. I love that.
And I was like, what?
Let's be honest though, they weren't making the butcher the lead, they were making you the lead because they obviously saw that in you. Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
But so basically I laughed so much because it was so completely random. And I felt like, I don't know, I almost went out and bought like a lottery ticket that day because I was like, so that's weird. Like all of that is just really odd and surreal that's happened. That I laughed so much during this phone call that I had to ring my agent again the next day and say, can we just go through all of that again? Because I can't remember anything you said because it was just so bizarre. But I am delighted, of course, and I feel very lucky, particularly this year, that has come through. And yeah, I start filming tomorrow. So
wow, that's amazing.
I
and
can't
again,
really
is
tell
this
you much more.
Welsh and English? So you've got that
Welsh
to
and
do
English,
that all over again.
Yeah, so the English version will go to Channel 4 and the Welsh version will go to the Welsh channel S4C.
I mean, that must be such an amazing feeling because you must understand that this second series has kind of been tailored towards writing it for you then. Because
yeah, I guess so. I mean, you know, maybe it was just like, oh God, who can we? Let's just put a pin in it, and then they picked my name. I don't know.
The butcher.
But yeah, it's lovely. She's not a butcher anymore, though. So
what is she now?
She has restarted her life, and she's a student.
Oh.
Quite nice. I mean, you know, people do things like that, particularly at my age, where
like
they go
pottery.
Yeah, like pottery, exactly. She's a ceramics student. She's not really.
Where did the pottery come in for you?
Pottery came
what led
in
you to pottery?
So as I was finishing series 3 of Hidden, I knew that was going to be we knew it was the last one. We kind of knew from the beginning that it was only ever going to be 3. And I knew it was going to be a real loss in my life because as an actor, to have something that is even remotely constant is such a luxury and so like you just want to hold on to it. B, I was really proud of the show and loved it and loved doing it and loved working with the team. And I'd had quite a tough few years, like life had been hard, do you know what I mean? And so losing that thing I knew was going to be really tough. And I was on set one day and the script supervisor, we were talking about, you know, maybe I go and do a course in something, but then you go, as an actor, you go, oh, but what if I get too busy? What if I get a job and then I can't finish it? And you talk yourself out of those things all the time. And she had been to do a 6-week pottery throwing course at this studio in Cardiff. And the tutor used to be a runner on TV sets. And I had worked with him briefly and loved him. And I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to sign up to it because even if I don't finish it, which actually I didn't in the end, it doesn't matter. I want to try it. And I'd always I loved the pottery throwdown from like when it was on BBC One. I'd watched every single series and I loved it. And I just wanted something to just like have in the diary. Do you know what I mean? Because I think I had never, ever cracked that downtime thing. I would go very quickly into feeling quite sad and really, really struggling to find things to do.
Yeah.
Because I've been really lucky in that for a long time, I have been able to live on my acting work. But there are some years where that's only just happening, but there are other years when, it's a bit nicer. But for a long time, I've been able to do that. And that is wonderful, but it also means that you have huge amounts of time on your hands when you're not working. And that can be 6 months, a year, who knows? And so I never really thought that I would end up becoming completely obsessed with it, but I did quite quickly. And for me, at that time particularly, it became really important for my mental well-being because it was a focus. It's really meditative. I made loads of brilliant friends in this studio that I go to that is a real community. And I spent so long because I'd spent something like a year out of work, and therefore that meant that I'd spent basically every day of a year making pottery and learning it.
Really?
Wow.
That I got quite good at it. And so over the last year, I've been working towards making it a business and something that I can, dip in. I mean, it's a learning curve and I'm still working it out, but it's so nice to have something else that I'm passionate about, because your passion for acting comes and goes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can be really hard to love something that feels like it doesn't love you.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I hate this. Why am I still doing this? I'm 42 and what am I doing? I've got brain, I could be using it and I'm not. I'm sitting at home watching Bake Off, Junior Bake Off.
Waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah. And so it's for the first time in my life, I had a hobby, an actual bona fide hobby.
Yeah.
That would fill my days and my cup.
And also talking about cups, you sell them all over now, don't you? You go to little pottery fairs.
Yeah,
this is true, isn't it?
Yeah, I do little markets, and I make things for. I've started making things for restaurants.
Oh,
because I love food and I love bougie restaurants.
Yeah.
And so I've made a few contacts here and there, mainly here in Cardiff, a couple of places, one place in Sheffield, actually, who I now make things for. And usually it's for specific things, which is quite cool because you get to be creative because they need it to be for, I made some cheese platters for a cheese shop in town. And so they wanted a specific type of thing, but also then you try and make it your own thing. And so I've loved it so much. And at school, I used to love art, but I had an art teacher who would laugh at everybody's work.
Oh,
yeah, I know, it's so
no.
weird. And so I stopped. And so it's the first time I've been artistically creative since school.
It's amazing that something that you essentially started for something to do, and then you realise it was really good for your mental health.
Yeah.
And then it's become a business. And then you've actually built a little pottery studio in the bottom of your garden.
No, I don't have a garden. I live in a 1-bed flat and I can't wait to leave.
So where's your little pottery studio?
I have a studio in a creative,
commune.
A creative small businesses commune.
Commune.
It's not a commune, it's
nuns
studios.
sitting around doing pottery.
It's literally...
That's a convent, not a commune. Commune, a communal creative space. That'd be weirder, yeah. No.
Yeah, go on.
No, I have a studio in a little creatives... a complex in Cardiff, yeah. So it's just a tiny little shed. It is a shed, but it's not the bottom of my garden.
But it's your shed.
It is my shed.
And you sell out, don't you?
It's my shed for the very small price of £300 a month.
Wowzers.
Oh,
that's an expensive
that's
shed.
An expensive shed.
However, so just give your that sounds very condescending. Give your website, sorry. Give your website and your Instagram page a little shout out. So your Instagram is Shani Pots.
Can I just say, this
Shani
pottery
Pots.
is so nice.
It's so
and I've nearly
beautiful.
bought some several times, but I have been on quite a few times and a lot of the time it does sell out. So is it a good idea to pre-order?
That's actually more on me because I am really slow.
But you really
She won't be slow for you if you order, so feel free to pre-order.
Yeah.
And
So
Sian
the Instagram
pull a
page
lead finger out
Instagram
and make
is-
your mug.
One like this. You too can own one of these.
I want one. Can you send me one? I don't want to pay.
I've got a few actually on the way out. What did she say?
I don't want to pay for it.
Well, you are paying for it, I'm afraid.
Oh, fine.
Can you
This is
just
my
let her pitch?
livelihood.
Can you let her just
Yeah,
give a
but she
shout
didn't do a
out
good
to her?
start, did she? She was like, "Oh, I take ages," and that's why she doesn't want to say
Age
that.
does
She wants to
take
say,
ages.
you know,
That's what
So
you're
go on,
paying
so
for. You're paying for the love and the care that goes into something.
Yeah, fine, okay.
Exactly. So your Insta page is called
Shani Pots.
Shani Pots, and then you've got a website which we've just been looking at before we came on to interview you called
ShaniPots.com.
Shani
It's very
Pots.
simple.
Yeah, but when it came up, it said ceramics by Sian Reese Williams. It sounded
Yeah, but
very
that's because
sexy.
it just sounds better. And also my stamp at the bottom is my name and Shani Pots. It's a bit more twee than like the stuff that I make. The stuff that I make is a bit more bougie than Shani Pots should suggest,
Yes.
but it's quite catchy as an Instagram. I've had discussions with people before that I should make them both the same thing, but I still feel like it's all right.
Yeah, I think it's all right. Listen, I just want to go back a little bit. Now we've talked about Shani Pots and your
I
little
think I prefer
convent. What
Sean
was it?
Ceramics. I think I
No,
do.
it's not. It's not. Well,
Right,
you
it's
might
not even
prefer
called
that,
that,
Roxana,
right.
but it's not called Shani Ceramics.
He was never called that.
Ceramics by Sian Reese
Sian
Williams.
Reese Williams.
I think Reese Williams is a lot. She sounds like a tennis player. I think just
I'm
Ceramics
sorry.
by Sean.
Should we all go through our names right now?
No, start again. No, what's it called? Ceramics by Sean.
No.
What's it called?
Ceramics by Sian Reese Williams.
Yeah, just Sean. I think just Ceramics
Just
by
Sian,
Sean.
like Cher, Madonna.
Exactly.
Cheryl.
Ceramics by Sean. That's my Penneth.
There you go.
I
Take it
don't
or leave
agree,
it.
But I will leave it. If that's okay.
Fine.
I want to go back, Sian, just a little bit because we did say we were going to talk about your musical theatre career.
Yes.
So had you ever done a musical until I saw you at the Leeds Playhouse?
Yeah.
doing
No.
a musical called.
In Dreams.
Oh yes,
Dreams.
I
as
saw
well.
you in as well.
You loved
yes,
it.
I loved you.
Which was a musical written with the music of Roy Orbison, and it was
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. So wonderful. Was it the first musical
Quite
you'd ever done?
sad.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I'd done my first ever job was a play with music. As we all know, that's very different.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's different, but apparently it is. And that was my first ever job. So I did some singing in that. But in terms of musicals, yeah, it was my first proper musical theatre job because when I came out of drama school, I was terrified of musical theatre auditions. And I decided very quickly that I was not going to pursue that because it was so scary. And then I actually had a couple of auditions for musicals over the last couple of years, and I still found them really, really frightening.
What is it about them that scares you? Because you can sing
Well,
so well and you
first
can
of
act
all-
so
Amazing
well.
voice,
Yeah.
If you get nervous, the first thing to go is your singing
Your
voice.
voice,
It's
yeah.
awful.
Oh,
And also,
okay.
because I wasn't trained in musical theatre, I still don't know the answer to this. I don't know what level of performance they are expecting when you walk into an audition room, and so it paralyses me.
What are they expecting, Matthew?
Yes, Matthew.
Well, it's been so long since I've actually.
Well, you just did
done-
Elf last year. That's
Yeah,
a
you didn't have to
musical.
audition
I did do
for it,
Elf,
did
but
you?
it-
They went, come and be Elf.
Well, no, they
That
said
was weird.
They said
that was weird the way that happened because one day everything was normal, 18 years in the same place, no progression, nothing, fine. And then next thing you know, he's off to the West End and I went to see him, was walking down that big street in London
with my face
and his
plastered
name
all over.
and his
Street
face
in
was in the
London. You know
town.
that big street
Oh,
in
I couldn't
London?
believe
No,
it.
they didn't just offer it to me. So basically, the
kinda
casting
did.
directors that had cast me in quite a few things back in the day when I was like 23, 24,
Yeah.
before I joined Emmerdale, the guy that played Elf the year before wasn't available to play it again. And they were like,
Right.
it's a huge
So who
part.
goes, oh, I remember this guy from 13
Well, we've
years
always
ago.
kept in touch. We've always kind of kept in touch. And they just got in touch and said, first of all, do you think you'd be able to do it? And secondly, do you think Emmerdale had release you to release you out in order to do it for 3 months?
Yeah.
The answer to the second question was no. They wouldn't. They wouldn't set a precedent of letting people out to do stuff
Yeah.
over Christmas, which was
Yeah.
fine. And I said, yeah, I'll do you a self-tape. So I basically, in my summer house, so I didn't need to go into the room to do any kind of performance. I was in my
That's exactly what
little
happened
summer
with In
house doing it in
Dreams.
front of a camera.
That's exactly what happened with In Dreams. I did a self-tape,
Yeah.
and so it felt totally different.
It's very different because you can go again if you get it slightly wrong, can't you?
Yeah,
When you're in
and
the room on the spot, it's very
exactly.
nerve-wracking.
You know, my sister did the tape with me, and it felt completely different. And I don't know whether I would have got that job if I'd been in the room, because I just go to pieces.
It's funny, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
funny
it's
because
weird.
you're so fantastic.
Was it a difficult decision for you to
leave Emmerdale
make?
to do a 12-week job? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it seems like the most ridiculous decision when you think of it like that. However, I was at the same stage as you said you got to, thinking, I do want to...
If you're even considering
Yeah.
it, there's something inside that's telling you to do it, right?
I was kind of at an age as well where I was 42, 43, and I was thinking, if I don't leave now, I could quite happily stay here until I'm as old as Chris Chattel.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean?
Also, do you know what though? Like, why wouldn't you? Because it's a wonderful place to work
fantastic.
with brilliant people.
Yeah.
And like anybody, like my trajectory and the way that I wanted to do things is different. But I 100% get that.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Of course. Why would you leave one of the greatest jobs in the world
Absolutely.
ever?
Into the abyss of, like you said,
The
like maybe
unknown.
a year of the unknown or 2 years. But I knew that I was leaving to go and do something, a dream part, really. To
Yeah.
play a part that Will Ferrell's ever played is like a dream part.
When I
to
found
me.
out that you were doing it, I was like, that's obviously that's happening. That makes 100% sense. I missed it though. Where was I? I was in Canada, wasn't I?
You were in
'cause we
Toronto doing your musical.
we
you
took
were.
it to Toronto afterwards, which was really bizarre but amazing.
Yeah, they're going to do it on Broadway and in the West End. So
Will you do it? Will you be doing it then?
I'd love to be asked to do it again. Yeah, put it that way.
Right.
Put it that way.
Well,
it's
I'll be front
on
row.
the cards. It's on the cards.
I'll be front row in my t-shirt that says "Go on holiday, go on holiday, go on holiday." But
Well, I think that's a good place to
place
leave
to
it.
wrap it up. Yeah, so Shani Pants and Sean Ceramics, Reese Williams.
No,
And
Matthew, would you like to try? It doesn't
I
matter.
would.
Doesn't
So
matter.
it's Shani Potts.
Shani Potts, not Shani Pants. Yeah.
And Shani Potts is spelt. Just spell it for us because Shan's not the easiest name to spell.
No.
I mean, it is SIANY Potts.
And the website is obviously shanipots.com.
Correct.
And there's some beautiful stuff on there.
Yeah.
And Shan will pull her finger out and start
Yeah.
making things faster
I will try.
for everyone out there. Shan, we love you so much. Thank you
I
so
love
much
you.
for
Oh,
coming
Wait, and
on.
what's the show you're about to film? What's it called again?
Still Waters.
Still Waters, and that will be on Channel 4 and the Welsh one. I can't say that. No, what?
S4C.
S4C soon. Good place.
Probably sometime
Should we
next
cut
year.
this?
I'm not sure when exactly.
Yeah.
Shan, thank you
So
so
nice
much
to
for
see
coming on
you.
and talking about
I
your
love you.
celebrity
Love you.
side hustle. We love you so much, and
Mwah,
we
mwah,
will
mwah,
see you
mwah,
soon.
mwah, mwah,
Loads of
mwah.
love. See ya.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.
That was so nice.
That was really nice. I think you enjoyed that one particularly because you spoke so much.
I just felt I love Shan so much. I do, and we spent so much time together.
You guys
during our
did. You were
time
like the
at
best of
Emmerdale.
friends.
Oh, we were best buddies there. We were best buddies, and then when she left and moved back to her hometown in Cardiff, see a lot less of her. So it was it was just so lovely to speak to her. Yeah,
Can you remember what her website's called?
it is called Shani Potts. That's what you put in.
Shani Potts.
ShaniPotts.com. Her Instagram is
ShaniPotts.com.
Shani Potts.
Go and check
then,
out her
when you
mugs.
go on ShaniPotts.com, it will come up with Ceramics by Sian Reese Williams. And honestly, there's some beautiful stuff on there. Absolutely beautiful. It's all handmade. It's all bespoke. So yeah, get on there and have a little look at Sian Reese Williams's side
Jugs.
hustle.
Sorry. I did it at the beginning and I did it at the end. All right. Bye.